Most guitarists waste years learning the wrong scales when they want to play like Slash, and they put a lot of attention on the harmonic minor scale because that's what everybody's told them. But that's actually less than 5% of his entire playing. And if you've been using that scale and wondering why your solos still don't sound like his, this is a big part of the reason. So in this video, I'm going to show you the 3 scales that make up 90% of Slash's signature sound, why each one fits his style, and exactly how he uses them to get that sound. And by learning these, you're going to double, if not triple, your soloing options. So if a song is in a minor key, most guitarists would use the natural minor scale for the solo. But over progressions like Out to Get Me, Slither, It's So Easy, Mr. Brownstone, and tons more, not every single one of those notes is going to work. So as you can hear, one of those notes is horrible, and this is what it should sound like. So the scale that Slash is actually using is the Dorian scale. But before you think, oh great, here's another scale I've got to learn, don't worry, because you don't have to think of it as a completely new scale and start from scratch. Because it's either just a minor pentatonic, which you probably already know, with 2 extra notes added, or if you already know the natural minor scale, it's just 1 note difference. A natural 6th instead of a flattened 6th, and that's it. And that 1 note makes a massive difference to the mood of the entire song because of the chords it gives us. The 4th chord in the key is major instead of minor. So in E, instead of going E minor to A minor, you've got E minor to A major. And that movement is absolutely everywhere in Guns N' Roses, which is exactly why Dorian is perfect for these chord progressions where the natural minor scale doesn't feel right. And those chords make the sound more uplifting. It's still minor and it still has that rock flavour and character, but it's brighter and a little bit less sad. And that makes sense when you think about Slash's playing because his solos aren't always dark and heavy and sad, and it kind of still feels minor but major at the same time. So if you haven't learnt this scale yet, all you need to do is keep all your minor pentatonic ideas as your bass and then just start adding in that 6th note and the 2nd. So when does Slash use the natural minor scale, and why does it sound so different? Well, the natural minor scale is what Slash uses when the harmony and the chords are explicitly minor. So we're using full chords and not just power chords, which are used a lot in that music. But when you use the full minor chords, it's darker and a lot more emotional. Songs like Don't Cry, the outro solo to November Rain, those progressions have that typical minor key emotional pull, and natural minor is the scale that fits that perfectly. So natural minor is basically your minor pentatonic scale with 2 extra notes, the 2nd and the flattened 6th. And those are the notes that give it that darker or more sad character, as you heard just then. Whereas Dorian has that brighter, more uplifting quality with the natural 6th, the flattened 6th in the natural minor scale pulls it towards the darker and more grittier side. Now the key thing is, you don't want to just blast up and down the scale or hold on any of those 1 notes, especially the flattened 6th. The way that Slash actually uses this is more like a passing note and moves through it quickly rather than landing on it and staying on it. because it doesn't work in the same way over every chord, so you need to use it strategically. And if you want to make it sound a little more bluesy and gritty, you can throw in that flat 5 from the blues scale, especially when you're moving fast, because that note, kind of one of those what the hell is going on here things that Slash does all the time, and that's one of his signature Slashisms. Now, before I show you the last scale, the ones in this video are what are going to get you 90% of Slash's repertoire. So I highly recommend learning these scales, not just in one shape, but in all of the different shapes so you can play anywhere on the neck. I've got a handy fretboard trainer inside of the course, and it's helped over 1,000 guitarists navigate the fretboard and have more freedom when it comes to soloing and improvising. I highly recommend checking that out. There's a link in the description. Anyway, on to the last scale. Now, this last one is where most Slash fans have a complete blind spot, and it's probably the biggest reason their solos don't sound close to his yet. Because when most guitarists think Slash, they think minor, that sort of dark bluesy rock sound. But over 20% of his most iconic solos are actually in major keys. The first 2 solos in Sweet Child of Mine, Fall to Pieces, Knocking on Heaven's Door, November Rain's first couple of solos, So Fine, all in major. And when you use it properly, it's just as melodic and just as emotional and just as Slash-like as when using minor scales. And the best place to start with this is just the major pentatonic. Slash isn't running up and down the full major scale all the time. He's using the major pentatonic as the bass and then making choices about when to add those extra notes in, if at all. And that's the key there, because it's not always strictly the full major scale that you can use. But when the chords do allow it, that's when you can start bringing in those extra major scale notes for a little bit more movement and colour. And when I say movement, I mean Slash often uses those extra notes to move into a different position or scale shape on the neck. You got to listen to what's happening in the chords and then decide, which is exactly what Slash does. I've got a full video about how to choose scales and notes like Slash on the channel, so definitely check that out and make sure you subscribe. But listen to this, if I play the 7th note in Fall to Pieces, it doesn't work as well. But over something like this, the full scale can work over the right chords. So it's the same idea as before with the other 2 scales. Stick to your chord tones and your pentatonic notes, and then use the other 2 notes selectively for moving around the fretboard and to add colour. And the thing is with this, once you've got that major pentatonic stuff working just as well as your minor stuff, you've essentially doubled your solo vocabulary. And that's exactly why Slash is so versatile, because he can play in both of those different moods. So you don't need to learn every scale under the sun to sound like Slash. These 3 cover 90% of his sound, so that's where I'd focus most of your time. But if you want to see exactly how Slash pulls all of this together in a real solo, I've got a video where I break down 6 things he actually does whilst building a solo straight from one of his albums. So I highly recommend watching that video next, and it's going to help you solidify these three scales in a musical sense.